felt like I was wearing this like monster on my back, right? But I was great at hiding it, but it didn't help me process. It didn't help me heal. It didn't help me like experience engagement with other people with this like truth out there, right? Because like I felt like it's none of their business. They don't need to know, but it just kept eating at me. And it wasn't until I began to share with other people, oh yeah, I've actually been going through like a divorce right now, that was the beginning of healing for me.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the empowering convo I had with Renee Bauer in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that one, feel free to pause this now, go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us. And if you're listening on the OPC app, it's very easy. You can see like a bunch of recent episodes all at one time, so you can pick and choose however you want. If you're listening on the other places, I don't know how they work, but it's, but you want to listen to Renee's, especially if you've ever felt like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed about this past thing I had in my life. I thought it was so great.
Yeah, very liberating. And also I appreciate the experience that she went through, and how she's bringing her experience to other people who are suffering and in need. So I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I was just able to see her in real life at her event.
Yeah,
and
in case you're wondering what we're alluding to, she's a divorce attorney.
Yeah.
And she's actually gone through divorce herself.
In case you're listening to this out of order, she's
right.
Yeah. So her book, She Who Wins, which is also the name of her podcast and also the name of her event, comes out this September. You guys, you can pre-order that book right now, and there's special goodies that happen if you do pre-order the book. And the way books go, loves, is it all matters on the pre-orders now. So everything's always changing.
Yeah, that's the truth. Let's just jump right into it. So
today, is International Reef Day. It's like World Reef Day.
Yeah. So, not that Lesley and I are surfers by any means, but
we need the reefs.
We need the reefs. I'm a big fan of keeping plastics out of the ocean, which is obviously an incredible. It's incredible how much plastic is currently in the ocean. In fact, when we were just flying to Korea, on the way we stopped over in Honolulu. Mm-hmm. We had a layover there, both ways, and I was watching a really fascinating documentary about the native, bringing back the native Hawaiian culture from thousands of years, and they talked about the Pan-Pacific. The ocean as if it was its own continent, and how, thousands of years ago, people jumped on canoes and they explored the oceans by the stars. Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
The way that people took a wagon and drove across North America?
Wow.
No, they were we're going to go that way and hope that we hit land.
Yeah, and the stars are moving, but that's fine.
I mean, pretty intense. Anyway, they were talking all about the reefs, and it really got me fired up about them again.
So y'all get rid of your sunscreen and make sure you have sunscreen that is safe for, this is, I guess if you're going to a pool, do whatever you want to do. But if you're going into natural waters, you're going to the ocean, you must use a special sunscreen. So if you actually go to this World Reef Awareness Day's site, they say you can observe this day by doing beach cleanup. You could become a virtual diver. Which I guess you do virtual tours. What? How is that helping? Anyways,
don't know.
This is their suggestion. You probably I think once you're aware of things, it's hard to be an asshole. Then you can make your own sunscreen that's actually really healthy for the reefs. So those are some things you can do. But truly, honestly, if you can,
you just roll in mud. That's your sunscreen?
I think they have beeswax in there, which is only concerning because of the bees. We have a problem with the bees shortage, and then there's a lot of stuff going on. Please be kind to the reefs because we actually really do support the ocean's microbiology, and it actually affects your life in other ways if you live near an ocean. So do the right thing. Call your friend who's going to the beach and make sure they're not using sunscreen that's going to kill the reefs.
Yeah.
Anyways, we also have some other stuff going on right now. So this is coming out June 1st. We're a couple weeks away of doing a webinar for Profitable Pilates on how to convert first-time clients. So if you are a Pilates teacher or trained to be one, you will want to be at this webinar. Agency members, of course, you get the VIP ticket for free. If you're not an agency member, you can buy a ticket to the live. You'll have a 3-day replay. You can also, there's opportunities to buy a VIP ticket and also get to keep the replay forever, which is way cheaper than buying it when it's a course. So you'll want to actually go to the show notes below to actually sign up for the wait list or to sign up for the webinar.
And if you're listening to this after that's already occurred, get on the wait list anyway, because we do these webinars periodically throughout the year, and they're on these various topics and all this stuff. So you'll be the first to know when you're on the wait list, and we give you all sorts of hookups and stuff. So
and you can
check out the show notes.
Yeah. And then in July, we have the Mullet Tour in the northern part of the UK, Claire Sparrow's studio, which we're so excited about.
Oh, I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing.
At the time that we're recording this, we only have 4 spots left.
Yeah, I know.
Insane.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, and it's a really great small group. We're so excited about it. In August, we are doing our summer tour. We have not released the cities yet, but we'll release those soon. So make sure you stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then you've heard us talk about all the rest of our plans and all the things, but yeah, summer tour is going to be super fun. And we've got some exciting news about that coming to you soon with some sponsors and all sorts of stuff that's kicking off. So it's going to be great. But before we do that, let's see. We have an audience question today from Karen Campbell. Thanks for submitting this question. Karen is saying, I'd be interested to see an episode about menopause and specifically how to best support health for premenopausal women with herbal remedies. I saw a few episodes in the lineup on women's health and maintaining hormonal balance. So maybe this topic's already been covered. If it hasn't been done, could you bring on a specialist to discuss it?
So we are working on a menopause expert. To be honest, it's actually been a little tricky. So we are working on getting an actual expert just in menopause. Thank you, Karen, for bringing this up. But here's the other thing about premenopause and all this stuff. It's so different for every single person. Like it is so different. So here are some places you can go for some more information for you right now until you wait. I don't want you to wait for this advice. So here's the thing. There's a book called Menopocalypse. Yes, I'm trying. If you know the author of Menopocalypse, everyone, I would like her on the show. If she's listening to this, if she gets a Google alert, hello, I want you on the show. The book is called Menopocalypse. Even Brad listened to that book as well. It's really, really helpful. She explains all the stuff about perimenopause and menopause that I like, a lot of stuff that they just don't talk about, and also the fears that are out there that
Amanda Thebe.
Yeah, Thebe. So hi, Amanda, come on the show. Then also, you guys, Sarah Gottlieb, I heard her on Huberman's podcast. She has several books out there, and she actually has a hormone reset book. I have not done the hormone reset, to be honest. Elimination diets get a little bit hard for me. I have tendencies. I try to avoid those kinds of things. So Brad's been with me on elimination diets. We just are trying not to do them anymore.
That's the point where I just tell her, it's all in your head, babe.
No, it's not it. So here's the deal. However, my dear friend has done Sarah Gottlieb's hormone reset and really did get some value out of it in her perimenopause journey.
Cool.
So Sarah Gottlieb has some great books on hormones, hormonal diets you can do, and also has been on Huberman talking about that. When it comes to herbal remedies, I wish that I could tell you what those are. I'm not actually perimenopausal yet, so I haven't dove into myself. But in Amanda Thebe's book, there was some really great stuff, including breath work. So you guys, breath work. You could just do so much. And for what Amanda brought up was box breathing, which is inhale for 4, hold for 4. exhale for 4, hold for 4. And
I do this to go to sleep sometimes.
Yes. It's so helpful, but it's very much about expanding the gut and breathing all the way down into your pubic bone. And then when you exhale, she was like, and imagine just like pulling up, your privates up like a tissue coming out of a box. And like, that's how you exhale. So it's not like this forced, like compressive, but like very much a uplifting exhale. And that can be really, really great for some things. So, as far as maintaining hormonal balance, you guys do not be like, there's a lot of stuff out there about HRT, it's just hormone replacement therapy. If it works for you, it works for you. So,
she in Amanda Thebe's book, she talked about that, and I thought it was interesting. I'd never even heard of it, so it was an interesting like exposure to what it is, what it could be, what it isn't, how like it's been. There's like good and bad things out there about it. So
So until I can get a specialist on here, and again, I'm working on it. I'm trying to find someone whose schedule lines up with mine. I would highly recommend those two books. And then also telemedicine is really amazing. There are specialists, there are female doctor specialists in this that will do a telemedicine talk with you. And then you can get some cream, some hormones, some patches. The other thing is like anything, you have to be connected to your body, you guys. So if you are someone who's walking around a little bit disconnected, you might not understand that some of the symptoms you have are perimenopausal. You might be thinking that it's food or that it's stress or something like that. So just journal what's going on in your body right now. So until you can find the person that really works for you, you can keep a log of how you're feeling on each day. Because then when they ask you how long you've been feeling like this, you don't feel like, I don't know how long I've been feeling like this.
That's a good point. Because that's something you can start right now for free.
So Karen, I hope to have a specialist soon. We've had other people wanting a menopause expert. I hear you. It's coming. And hopefully that gives you some help for right now.
Love it. Okay, now let's talk about Renee Bauer. With 2 decades of experience as a divorce lawyer, Renee has emerged as a powerful advocate in the women's empowerment space. She's forged a platform that bolsters self-worth and champions women's decision-making rooted in empowerment and financial independence.
I'm going to jump in.
Do it.
So I actually loved that she just talked about owning it. She was like, she was telling her story about how she was like ashamed to say that she was divorced twice. And then she just happened to share on a podcast with a friend, like that she was, and people were like, oh my God, thank you so much. And she realized that like what she was ashamed of was actually like the thing that helped connect her the most to most people. And so I really love that she was a proponent of like, just own the thing that's like makes you worried that people are going to be ashamed of you, because it actually makes you vulnerable and makes people be able to trust you. And as we talked about, like, she's really like the best person to help everybody decide if they should be getting divorced and like what their next step should be because of her experience.
Yeah. I was encouraged by her, just the fact that she has seen both sides of the equation. And also, like being an attorney, she's arguing on behalf of her clients, but she can also relate to her clients. I thought that was pretty cool. When I went through my divorce, it was really interesting because I felt all the same things that she was talking about. Shame. She talked about shame. I felt so ashamed that I was even considering the concept, or that it was actually being like forced on me because I didn't want to do it at first. I didn't want to do it at all, in fact. And then when after it happened, I really had to come to grips with that idea of like, okay, I am a divorced person now. And that was it was like a new identity. I don't even know why I felt like it was that, but it was, so the fact that she can relate to the people going through it was really powerful. Well,
and also like in our own life, there's been different people in our lives who are going through that, and they were so embarrassed and they were like kind of shutting down, and like people weren't able to like really talk to them. And it's like, well, you can, because you've been through that. And like, I think it's just so important to not be ashamed of the journey that you have, whatever that was. Maybe you've never been married. Like, some people are ashamed that they get to a certain age and they've never been in a long-term relationship. Like the shame is such a thing that keeps us from shining our light. And like, you have this amazing skill set, whoever you are, whatever that is, to actually change lives around you. And if you're letting that journey that you've been on be something you're ashamed of, when really it's actually the superpower that makes you who you are and makes you able to connect with people. So I just love that she is owning this, and it's actually what's taking her with the book and with her events. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think that also, one thing that she said, just own it. It sounds very glib to say that. Like, if someone had just come to me and say, just own it, Brad, you're divorced or you're getting divorced, it would have been really hard for me to be like, okay, I'm in on that. Like, no problem. Fair. But let me tell you from my own personal experience, I began to heal when and only when I quote unquote owned it. Yeah. And for me, it wasn't like this idea of like, I guess I'll just be this divorced person now. But what it was for me was I began to own it by no longer avoiding it in conversations with others, right? Because it was so easy for me to just never bring it up. And so I'd meet people and they would never know that I'm like, for me, it felt like I was wearing this like monster on my back, right? But I was great at hiding it. But it didn't help me process. It didn't help me heal. It didn't help me like experience engagement with other people with this like truth out there, right? Because like I felt like it's none of their business. They don't need to know, but it just kept eating at me. And it wasn't until I began to share with other people, oh yeah, I've actually been going through like a divorce right now, that was the beginning of healing for me, processing. So, yeah.
I love that you said that.
Yeah. So, and actually, her quote was exactly that. And that's when I realized I need to talk about this and not be ashamed about it. So, yeah. Well, one thing that I loved that she said was find your tribe. And, again, I found this to be, particularly challenging. The idea of just meeting strangers on the internet to like be in a group of divorced men, like that felt like, I don't know these fucking people, and I was not really okay with that. So I didn't actually go to an online community, but what I did end up really turning to were my close friends. And, they weren't divorced, but they knew they knew me. They knew me before my ex-wife, for years before them. And so having that support system I couldn't really go to my family. It was weird. I didn't feel like that was okay to talk about it with my folks, or my siblings, but having that community around me like really helped me get through it. And that's what she's talking about here. So your tribe doesn't need to be like, it could be an online community of people who like don't know you or you don't know them. And that you could find freedom in that. Because there were some times where I felt like it was okay to quote unquote air my dirty laundry with people who I never would meet again. I'd never see them again. It didn't fucking matter if they judged me because I was like, yeah, your opinion, it means nothing to me. And then alternatively, finding your tribe with people who do care about you, you could be doing that too.
Well, also like you had friends from before you were married. I was not divorced, but after I left my ex of 5 years, I didn't have any. Because I moved to LA and then we started dating shortly thereafter. And so all of my friends were his friends. So when I left, it was like, poof, gone. And I have to tell you guys, there's this one story that is like, just, oh my gosh, I wish I could have a video of it so you could just see what it was like. But I was in line for this movie to the cemetery and I'm in this line. I'm like, wait, I'm by myself because my one friend that I made, was looking for parking. And so I'm by myself in this line. And the way the line goes is it snakes back and forth. And so I'm walking and I can see part of the line walking towards me because they're about to turn the corner. And my brain saw a friend, somebody who I was friends with because of my ex. And my brain didn't go, danger, warning, run away. And so I was like, hi, right? Like, oh my God. And they're like, oh my God. And then behind them was my ex. And they're like, oh my God. And then behind him was this girl he was dating. And she was like, oh my God. And everybody. And then all I hear was, we're going to have to pass her over and over again.
Oh, right, because the line snakes back and forth.
Snakes back and forth. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'm like, I'm like, I don't care if you have to double park. You park your car. You need to get here. I will pay the ticket. I don't care.
Unbelievably awkward.
We had to pass each other 11 times. Oh. At any rate, I only had this one friend at the time, but she was also making friends. And so when it says find your tribe, like that can be hard work, and it was effort. And yes, that was a really terrible moment in my life. 11 times. Oh my God. But I did find friends, and those friends led me to more friends, and those led me to more friends. And then it put me to finding myself more. And now, while I don't have a lot of those same friends because we've moved and everyone's life has changed, and welcome to LA, it's a very transient town, it did help me find myself to get me to a place where I could like go on to other things. Yeah.
Renee talked about joining a yoga group, right? And how that became like a lifeline to staying in community with people. And she actually said, she told herself, you're either going to sit here all day and feel bad for yourself, or you're going to put on some leggings and you're going to go to yoga and you'll probably feel better at the end. And I couldn't agree with her more. I mean, it was really easy to stay home, drink a bottle of wine, watch a movie, and feel, like shit. And it wasn't until I began to intentionally go out again, and that allowed those conversations with others to happen, that processing to happen. So, yeah. So honestly, I mean, that was quite a trip down memory lane. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I've heard the story about you bumping into your ex, but I didn't realize it was clearly at the movies.
It was at the Sinistra,
yeah, clearly.
Yes, and
because that's the only line that I could think of where you were like.
Can I tell you guys the best part? This is okay. Let me just tell you the best part. I know we're running up on time, but let me tell you this. So you take pictures at the movies, and it was the slumber party night. It was the night where there was 3 movies in a row, and so we had my friends and I, once they got there, we got our picture taken. And in between the first movie and the second movie, they were showing the pictures that have been taken up on the mausoleum. You guys, it's like the biggest block of wall. And when my picture came up with me and my 2 friends, it stayed up for minutes. And I laughed so hard. I looked at my friends and like, I'm good. I'm out of here. They are having to sit here and look. And I had this big cloak hood on, and it was all scary movies. And so I just looked like I was looking down upon the people.
Brilliant.
And so get this, the Monday after, I get an email. Nice picture.
That is so funny.
We should get into these Be It action items real quick.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into these Be It action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Renee Bauer? The biggest thing she talked about was knowing your money, which is 100% what we talk about with business. So it's so funny, but personally, that's very liberating, and what's so crazy is it was the reverse of the conversation. She said most women come to her and they're like, he took care of all the bills. I actually have no idea about any of it. And that's how my ex and I didn't actually manage any of it. So when we split, I was like, how much are we in debt? What? I had no idea. Right? I didn't know anything. And it was really crazy. And I totally agree that if I had, if I had paid attention, I don't think it would have been an issue for me to pay attention during the relationship of hey, I just want to understand things. Then it would have been a lot more freeing, but I never paid attention at all.
Yeah. I agree. I really like that part of the interview, and I highly recommend listening to that part if you haven't, because it's really great. No matter if you're in a happy marriage or not, it's just so everyone should just be aware what's going on, because then you know what your options are all the time.
Yeah, and I'm glad you shared about how we operate today, because it's starkly different than how I used to do it. Today, you and I actually have a monthly meeting for the company, but that incorporates pretty much our personal life too.
Yeah.
And that allows us both to be understanding where we are and all the things.
Yeah.
So.
And this takes this into like one of the be action I love, which is like treat yourself like you are the CFO of your own life. And I think that like goes along with what you were saying about your last marriage. It's like, I think it's really easy if you don't like money, or if money was like a bad thing that you're raised to just like ignore the money and I don't want it because it's a problem and I don't want whatever. But the actual reality is like, no matter if you're in a marriage, not in a marriage, in a great one, the more we are aware of the finances in our life, the more options we have. And, you know, this could be the thing you be it till you see it at this season. It's like, I'm going to be a CFO of my life. What does a CFO do? Well, they know the numbers. Okay. What are my numbers? All right. What are my goals for my numbers to be? What do I want this money to be doing? And like, even if that's just that you have a donation goal that you want to make, like that would be a really great thing for y'all to do. So this was a fun interview. I really love Renee. It was just so great. And y'all should get her book.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's upcoming right now. So I don't actually remember what the title of it was.
She Who Wins.
Oh, the book is called She Who Wins.
Mm-hmm. And her podcast is too. So
yeah,
there you
I knew that part. Yeah, so we will put the link for that in the show notes. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
We are so grateful for you. This is so much fun. Oh my gosh, we're almost about to hit 2 years with this podcast. I feel like we're like a day or two away, so we'll probably have to do that in an FYF. But thank you for being you, and we want to know how you use these tips in your life. Tag the Be It Pod, tag Renee Bauer, and until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is produced and edited by the epic team at Diseño.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals and Semena Velazquez for our transcriptions.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all the content to our website, and finally to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.